We're almost there. Just one more week and I promise it'll all be over. How you going? Welcome to my Star Trek Picard Season 1, Episode 9, Et in Arcadia, Ergo Part 1, or something, review. So about the name of this episode, ego apparently means I, and in this case, death is the I in question, and et means like including or even in, and Arcadia is meant to be paradise. So basically it means even in paradise there's death. So the crew of the last Sirena are rocking and rolling, and I thought they were already exiting the transwarp conduit, but it seems like they're still in it. And it turns out that Narek is tracking them, but now he's cloaked. So originally he wasn't cloaked. I don't know why. Why would you not cloak yourself if you're capable of it? Makes no sense. So they arrive at Soji's home planet, and this planet only has a few small patches of lightning, which is a bit odd considering that the fact that it had lightning was one of the identifying factors. Like she said, it had lightning and 2 red moons. Like Earth has lightning, and I wouldn't say it's a planet where there's a lot of lightning. So then Girardi asks what happened to the planet to take it to DS-12. And Rios says there's been a change of plans. So you're free to do as you please. Murderer, insane murderer who's also a spine, you're fine. And Picard says they've travelled 25 light years in 15 minutes. But didn't the wormhole in Deep Space Nine do something similar? Like Picard's acting like it's something that's totally amazing. I guess it's the fact that they can turn it on and off because they're using Borg tech. So is this something now that people can always use? Just travel wherever you want in like 15 minutes? Way to add excitement to stories. So then Narek attacks them and they're like, how did he track us? And they say that he must have tracked them using their last known location and heading. But they just traveled 25 light years. How would you know where someone's heading? They could have stopped early. They could have kept going. Like he was either following you directly or he would never have found you. So then they get into a firefight with Narek and they shoot him down. But it's not really him. Apparently they can use their cloaking devices to project an image of their ship. But if his cloaking device is projecting, wouldn't that mean that now his ship can be detected? Or can it do both? And this scene has some pretty ordinary effects because both the ships just look like toys. And then the Borg cube comes through the transwarp with a subwoofer destroying. Like, was that really necessary? And it went on for ages. Like, my windows were rattling. And then 5 giant orchids. And by giant, I don't mean giant for an orchid. I mean like giant for a football stadium. So 5 giant orchids fly up from the planet's surface and gobble the ships up. I swear I'm not making this up. Now, I don't know if this is some sort of a ham-fisted nature versus industry metaphor or something, but come on. And what's this show's deal with flowers anyway? Like, Darj had orchids on her table when she was having drinks with her boyfriend, just before they got attacked by the Romulans, and apparently they were named after her. And then Soji, in her dreams, there was a big table of like orchids, and the synth that Rios's captain murdered, the male one, was like called Little Flower or something really effeminate. And now they have a giant orchid planetary defense. But anyway, they just sit there and let the orchids swallow them up. Like, no evasive action at all. Sure, why not? And then somehow this orchid shuts down the last Sirena's power? Is it solar powered? What's going on? So these things drag the last Sirena and the Borg cube down into the atmosphere. But it's fast enough that it gets like atmospheric friction burns and it's destroying the orchids. And then Picard decides that now is a good time to take a nap. But it seems like he's actually having a stroke and he's saying, like, thank you for coming. I'm assuming it's a reference to some line from an actually good show. And then Picard wakes up and Girardi's scanning him and he's under a skylight. I guess they had to have some way to get light into the ship. And I'm not sure at what point they actually landed, but more likely crash landed. But they're all unhurt, like not a single scratch on them. No blood, nothing. And Girardi is freaked out, and it turns out that the tricorder that she found is telling her something that she doesn't want to know. And I thought it was going to be that Picard's a synth. But no, it's just that the tricorder told her that Picard's dying. So then Picard tells everyone that yes, he is dying and they need to shut up about it. Like, that'll help. And he says anyone who tries to treat him like he's a dying man will pee him off. Ooh, a swear word. But in the show's defense, it's probably the first fitting swear word in the series. So that's a bit of a moment to savor. And then we get this really terrible set of a crashed ship. And it kind of looks like they're just in a box alley with some rocks stuck to the walls. And once you see the amount of earth they pushed out of the ground with their crash, you kind of expect them to be more damaged than they are because they don't have any damage. And they were all up out of their seats helping Picard at the time. So they decide to hike to the crashed Borg cube to see if Alnor and 709 are safe. And when they get there, a Borg recognizes Picard as Locutus. I told yous, check out my prediction video here. And Alnor and 709 both have nary a scratch on them. I guess the makeup department took this week off. And someone says that like the orchid things broke their fall, but then they said that the Borg cube was too big for the orchids to arrest their fall. Like, come on. So 709 becoming the Borg Queen made her psychic because she could see things that were happening elsewhere. Like, she could tell that Picard and the rest of the crew were going through the transwarp tube. So they're powering up the Borg cube with batteries. Okay. So then they hook up a scanner and they see that 218 Romulan ships are coming. So they go to Caterpillar or whatever this town is called, and they see that people are doing weird things like Tai Chi and soccer and chess. Ooh, alien. And then there's some chick called Arcana with a really grating accent, and she looks like Data, like she's got the yellow skin and the yellow eyes. And she comes and welcomes Soji home. And these people seem to have varying yellowness of skin. Like, did the makers of them not manage to mix the pigments right each time? And this Arcana woman is so annoying. She's got this horrible, like, English accent, and she sounds like a possessed doll from some horror movie. Or maybe like Newt from Aliens. They mostly come at night, mostly. But she also recognizes Picard. But she recognizes Picard as Data's captain. So did Data visit this planet, or did they just tell everyone about this fantastic robot? So Soji tells them that the Romulans are coming to destroy them, and they say that they have 15 orchids, but now after attacking Picard and the Borg cube and Narek's ship, they only have 10 left. Pretty thorough defenses. And then Brent Spiner shows up, but he's not playing Data, so who cares? Apparently he's Noonien Song's son. Cool. He must have been cloned because he looks just like him. Unless he married his sister. Like, is he Romulan? So for some reason they sit down and Soji fills everyone in on the Romulan plan to attack, but Picard's not there. Like, he's off somewhere having a drink of water. They couldn't have brought the glass to him while they told everyone about the Romulans. So he's guzzling down this water and some robo-strumpet comes up to him. And it turns out that it's Sutra, who's the twin of Yana, who's the synth that Rios's old captain murdered. But that's irrelevant now. And Sutra says that the Romulans have been grappling with the admonition for centuries. So the scene 14 years ago in the last episode where Commander O and Narissa and Rhonda and who was the other one? There was someone else there. I can't remember. Was that just one of many batches of Zhat Vash who were sent insane? So apparently the message was meant for robotic brains, not for meatbag brains. So Girardi's off the hook for the Maddox murder because she got a second-hand case of admonition craziness from Commander O's Vulcan mind meld. And this planet is surprisingly sunny for a planet that's known for its lightning. So Sutra's been studying Vulcans and can mind meld. So she just learned it and she taught herself. So she sucks the admonition out of Girardi's head and she loves it. So apparently the admonition actually says that organics wanted to create perfection, so they created robots. But then they got jealous because the robots were immortal. So then the humans decided to start a war against the robots, which the humans lost. So now the robots are going to get help from a different group of robots. And they're going to kill all humans. So the Romulans are justified. I knew it. I said that in my prediction. So meanwhile, Spiner is creating an artificial body. And he needs Girardi's help to get his mind in there. And Soji's trying to convince people to get on the last Sirena and just disappear. But they don't want anything of that. And they've also captured Narek. And then Sutra says, look what the cat dragged in. And then they hard cut to a scene of a cat being patted by Girardi. I see what you did there. So the cat's name is apparently Spot 2. And it's a cat that they made to look like Data's cat. Is Data hiding somewhere? And why have two people who have never seen Spot talk about him? Like at least Picard's seen Spot. And Elnor has heard of Spot. So Arcana's sister... And it's her sister because she has the blue hummingbird on her shirt and not the orange donut necklace. She gives Raffi a thing. And Raffi asks her, what does it do? And she says, it fixes things. What, like this plot? And Raffi asks how. And she says, you have to use your imagination. MacGuffin ahoy. Or is it Deus Ex Machina? I don't know. And then Picard creepily cops an eyeful as this robot walks away. He's all like... And then Raffi and JL tell each other that they love each other. Instead of making it a heartwarming scene, they make it like super awkward. And Picard's trying to contact Starfleet to get the fleet from DS-12 to come and meet them. But he's just getting static. And I'm thinking maybe it's because you're 25 light years away. And then Narek's trying to slab squat in his cell and trying to trick the guard, whose name is Saga, into giving him his bag, which he says has water in it. And conveniently they keep it right next to his cell. And she's about to give it to him and Soji stops him. But Narek tries the whole, oh baby, I love you line. And Maddox has a video of him and Girardi kissing that plays on a loop on a video screen on his desk 24/7. That's weird. But I thought that he fled a Romulan attack on his lab. Like, wasn't that why he was in Free Cloud in the first place? Does he have another lab? Or is this the lab that he was talking about? And then Soji has an interesting discussion about taking a life to save a life. And it then just turns into a discussion about sacrifice, which goes nowhere. And Picard says he doesn't like the idea of logic of a sacrifice. And he says something weird about how it depends on if you're the one holding the knife. And then Sutra, who's the evil Soji, gets Saga, who's some random robot chick, irrelevant, to leave her with Narek, and she talks to him about how she needs his services. And the wound on Narek's cheek has healed really, really well. They did a really good job of it. And then somehow Saga gets her hummingbird brooch stabbed into her eye, and she's dead. Isn't she an android? Or is she a flesh and blood body with a robot brain? It makes no sense. Like, would it kill a robot stabbed in the eye? And now Soji regrets not killing Narek. And, like, where did Sutra go? So this whole thing's really confusing because there's, again, multiple characters being played by the same person. So then Narek's doing a runner to the Borg cube. I don't know why he's heading to the Borg cube. What about his ship? So it appears that Sutra allowed Narek to kill Saga in order to turn the rest of the droids against the organics. And I'm thinking, what are the odds that Sutra actually killed Saga herself in order to frame Narek? So, so apparently in this admonition thing, there was also a secret message about how robots could contact these super robots, the ancient robots. And then Sutra and Spiner tell Picard about their plan to contact these robots. They're going to build some dish or something, transmitter. They tell that to Picard for reasons. I don't know why you would tell someone that you're trying to kill how you're going to kill them. Just keep it to yourself. Like, Picard's of course going to try to stop you. And I think that encoding a secret message into a hidden message is just a way to make sure that that message never gets received. And then Picard talks about speaking for the synthetics. He'll speak to Starfleet or something. And he says he wants to become their voice. And I'm like, again, that's another reference to Locutus. Locutus means voice. He's becoming Locutus. And I had to have a giggle when Picard tried to push a line about how the Federation would listen to him. Why? They've never listened to you in the past. They keep telling you to shut up. And I mean, Starfleet's probably too busy worrying about the sudden disappearance of their head of security, Commander Oh. And then they tell him that they're placing him under house arrest. Why? Why not just execute him? They're planning on killing all organics anyway. Just kill him now. It's not as if they're trying to take over in some sort of a bloodless coup. And then they ask Soji, like, whether she agrees that Picard should be locked up, and she does agree that Picard should be locked up. And straight away I'm like, she's just covering for the fact that she's going to come and rescue Picard. Like, it's a ruse. Soon as she gets their trust, she'll go in and release him. And then Girardi says, like, don't lock me up because I'm helping Brent Spiner survive the upcoming war. I'm putting him inside of a robot body. And I think to myself, Picard's going to end up in that body. Picard's consciousness is going to be put in that golem instead of Spiner's. And then he's probably going to use it to tap into the Borg cube. Like, there's going to be the ports in the back, like 7 of 9 used. So he'll be Golem Locutus, and they'll finally have a way of keeping Locutus of Borg and Picard in the series once Patrick Stewart has died. And then the episode ends with the Olmobile, or Commander O's ship, approaching, but it's still 24 hours away. But the sensors can detect that there's no defenses. That's some pretty good sensors. 24 hours. And that means that the Borg cube could detect stuff coming from 36 hours away. Okay, this is one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. The entire story has been flipped on its head with nothing really to prop it up. It's like, hey, remember how we've been telling you explicitly throughout the entire series that these people are the bad guys? Well, we were lying to you. Or were we? And Raffi being given that Deus Ex Machina device, like, hell no. You can't do that. You can't just hand someone an object, make a big deal about it, and then tell them that it does stuff. Stories don't work that way. Well, good stories don't work that way. There needs to be a setup and then a payoff. You can't have someone hand a character a box and say, "Oh, don't open this until you're in trouble," and then have them handcuffed to a fence and be like, "Oh, that box, open it up and there's a hacksaw in there." That's just terrible writing. And there hasn't been any interesting characters introduced. They're all just caricatures. And having multiple copies of the same character with one of them being evil, it's just a lazy mirror universe story. And what have Alnor and Seven of Nine been doing all this time? We didn't even go back to the Borg Cube once. And if Riker turns up to fight in this upcoming battle, I'll be ticked off. And you know there's going to be a big space battle because there's 218 Romulan warbirds headed their way. I don't know what 218 means. It's got to be of some significance. Anyway, I'm done. One more episode to go and then it's all over. Thank God. Anyway, I'll see you then.